Back with us once again is Secretary of State, presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. Madam Secretary, thank you again for coming in to do this.
Glad to be here.
You have every option in the world, and I really appreciate you being here.
It's only our country. I mean, after all, Rachel.
I know, but this is just my little slice of it. So having you here means a lot.
You've tried to really cover this story, and as we were just talking, it is far from over, and it is still going on, and that's what I worry about. I don't want it to happen again.
Yeah. And we're in the middle of figuring it out still.
We are.
I mean, I don't know when we're going to get Mueller's testimony, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but I feel like that's something that a lot of this is really hanging on. I actually want to ask you about one sort of sidebar issue that came up in Mueller's report that has since been added to by the New York Times. It's about you. Mueller's report says that in October 2017, President Trump met privately with then Attorney General Jeff Sessions and asked him to take a look at investigating Clinton. Then, this past week, the New York Times has reported that last spring, 2018, Trump also asked Don McGahn, his White House counsel, to get the Justice Department to investigate you and former FBI Director James Comey. Today, the Attorney General refused to answer questions as to whether the White House had ever directed him to initiate specific investigations. You're the only person in the country whose opinion I want to hear in response to those developments. What do you make of that?
Well, what I make of it is this is as big a sign of a guilty conscience or a real fear that you could possibly have. I mean, I'm living rent-free inside of Donald Trump's brain, and it's not a very nice place to be, I can tell you that. So I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. I've been investigated repeatedly by the other side, and much to their dismay, but to my, satisfaction, it's been for naught. I testified for 11 hours in the Benghazi hearing after, 7 committees said there was nothing there. This is a diversion attack. Look, it is very sad to me that the lies that were told about me, the accusations that were made about me, have unfortunately had some residue. People say, well, if she's going to be investigated so much and they're going to be saying all these terrible things, even though nothing ever happens, maybe there's something to it. Because I guess it is one of their tools to fire up their hardcore base. When in doubt, go after me.
But now all these Republican senators today echoing it. Senator Graham opening up today's hearing, suggesting that you're the one that he really wants to go after.
And that's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. They know better. But this is part of their whole technique to divert attention from what the real story is. The real story is the Russians interfered in our election and Trump committed obstruction of justice. That's the real story. That's what they don't want the American people thinking about. So when in doubt, say something wild about me. Thankfully, there's no there, and there never has been. But it is saddening to me, Rachel, that is what is happening in our United States Senate and in the White House of this great country of ours.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, again, thank you for being here. You can do any of these. You can speak to anybody who you want to speak to and be anywhere you want to be. Thank you for being here, and I hope you'll come back. One of the other things I'd like to talk to you about over the course of the next few months is this huge Democratic field of presidential candidates, who I know a lot of them have been coming to talk to you. There's a lot else going on. I hope you'll come back soon.
I would love to. Thanks a lot.
Secretary.
Take care.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.